rock and roll. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm super excited to have the real estate marketing dude, Mike Cuevas, with us today. I look forward to figuring out why he's the dude. But ultimately, today, what we're really going to be covering is content creation. You know, for the past 15 years, folks have been really reliant upon sphere of influence, referrals, offline marketing, and then IDX searches in order to generate business for them. But as Mike will tell you, he's been pounding the table for the past couple of years that in order to get ahead and stay ahead, you need to be the king of content. And he is going to tell us why, uncover exactly what type of content you need, and dive deep with us today. So super excited. Mike, thank you for joining. First things first, why are you the dude?
I don't know. It was just my brand, and I've always just sort of been a dude. I became the Chicago real estate dude, and I became the real estate marketing dude. And if I were to sell insurance, I'd be the insurance dude. At the end of the day, I'm just a dude. And I firmly believe that you can't create your brand. You can only embrace it. And as long as you do, you can scream it from the rooftops, and that's where your true authenticity will come out.
I love it. Well, why don't we kick off with that then? Is that all right with you? I know you've got a presentation. I don't want to take it too far off the beaten path here, but it seems like a natural next step.
Yeah, why don't I, what I'll do is I'm going to go here and screen share just so we pop this up, but let me know if you could see that okay here. So just say how to multi-purpose.
Yeah, you're good to go.
Let me make it all big and pretty for you guys.
Yeah, and tell us a little bit more about your background. You're the Chicago dude, now you're a San Diego dude. Tell me about your background, your business, all of the above.
I started in real estate back in 2002. It was the only job I ever had right from college. It was the last elective I took. So I accidentally stumbled into the business. The problem I had, but I'm not a salesperson. Like I hate cold calling. I hated the prospecting. Back in 2002, everyone had the same lead generation methods, if you will. This is pre-content marketing, pre-Facebook, right? All the stuff that we're spoiled with today. And what happened was that, you know, I did get my first few sales from doing those hardcore prospecting techniques, but I also knew that I would burn out in a matter of days, not weeks, not months, days, because it was that miserable. So I had to figure out a way to actually go out and start figuring out a way to get business. So what happened was I was sitting there drinking with my friends, what 22-year-olds do when you're that age in the city of Chicago, and had a happy hour. I remember this clear as day. It was a Thursday afternoon. Sitting here with my best friend. I'm like, hey, John, what's up, man? You're having a couple beers, getting a little buzz. And somehow he decides to tell me, hey, Mike, I just referred a $400,000 listing to this realtor. She's pretty hot. And I'm like, dude, a $400,000 listing is 2.5% is $10,000. At 22 years old, I felt like I would have won the lottery if I got that listing, right? And I immediately went home and I cried that night. And I'm like, holy shit, my best friend doesn't even know what the hell I do for a living. How is everyone else going to in a referral-dominated business? So I remember I was always generating attention around my brand, almost like as a way to don't forget I exist, which is absolute core of what we do today. But it all started back from that one conversation. And that's what content is. People often confuse advertising and marketing with a lot of things. And marketing is our ongoing, don't forget I exist, whereas advertising is, hey, I'm doing this to create a direct response off of an action taken. Right. So a lot of people don't recognize the difference, and content for us is all about squeezing the most out of it. And that's what I want to chat about today is let's first define content. Because would you agree that a lot of people, like you say, like everyone's like, what the hell's content? What's content? Like, how do you do, what's that? Let's define what content means for the real estate industry. Because a lot of people don't necessarily think about it. So content is anything that reminds your entire network what you do for a living. These could be community videos. They could be business owner interviews. They could be how-to content. They could be content on the real estate buying process. We just got done shooting a closing cost video, for example. It's anything that reminds people that you're in real estate. Now, why we need it is because without it, especially in a COVID world, how the hell you stay on top of mind?
Sure, yeah.
Right? We can no longer just always talk about work with our database for the exact same reason we can't always just talk about work with our friends on Friday and Saturday night when we're out to dinner. If we did that, we wouldn't have friends anymore. Agreed?
Right, agreed.
Like Randy, did you go out there on Saturdays? You're like, hey, bro, let's go out and like go talk about freaking interest rates on Saturday night. Are you more like, no, like, right? So the same way that and that's just with your database, the same way why you can't always talk about work with your best friends is the exact same way you can't always talk about work with your damn business either, because when you do that, you're a salesperson chasing your next transaction, instead of somebody just trying to say, hey, don't forget to exist, don't forget to exist. See, the only way you build your personal brand is through consistent communication to the same audience over time. And that's why we need content, right? So think about how many people went dark during COVID. I could think of 3 or 4 influencers right now that had a huge brand before COVID, and nowadays no one even knows where the hell they are because they stopped creating content during that time. I've seen that happen to so many different people. Us, on the other hand, increased our ad spend, increased our content creation, and doubled down because I knew right freaking now that there are more people glued to the internet and social media than any other time. That's when I'm like, dude, this is all attention based. So that's my point, is that content is how you get noticed. Without content, you don't create a conversation. You create a lot of content, you start creating conversations.
And that's something right there, something you said that I want to unpack a little bit, because I think realtors, when they're creating content, they first they struggle to understand what it is. They pause, they hesitate, and then they instantly think work. So now you're saying you got to create content that is about what you do, but then you have to create content about what you don't do. So now that's a whole nother can of worms that I would like to unravel for some people today, because that might have totally thrown them off track.
Folks, you got to think long-term here, right? And that's what we'll get into, is how we multi-purpose each content. So content creation is really strategic, but it's also how we market our businesses. Like, the goal here is not to create a video, for example, and let it die in your newsfeed, because after 3 days, trust me, everyone forgot you did it, no matter how many videos you've done, right? Like, you're out of sight, you're out of mind. So it's a way on how you create content consistently that creates impact. Secondly, then how you repurpose it on YouTube, on your website, and all of that other stuff down the road. Like, here's watch, I'll get into that when we get into websites. So let's go into what type of content. So content is anything that resembles your business. It doesn't have to be about real estate. It can be, but it should remember or remind people that you're in real estate. So let's talk about content creation in videos, and let's talk about, let's break this up into 2 different ways, because there's not a shortage of content to create. HGTV has a whole television station dedicated to this, right? So it's not like we have to think about what the hell to create. There's a TV station telling us, you guys. But what do salespeople do? They start selling shit instead of just starting to actually start creating the content. Like, so what you don't realize is that you'll sell more things when you have more attention around your brand. You don't always have to sell it. So let's go through it in a little bit more depth. Community videos. So I'll play some of these in the background. Just I won't turn the sound on, but just so you guys can sort of get an idea. Here's the thing with video. 90% in how communication is perceived from person to person, 90% of communication is going to be based upon the tonality and the body language that you're using. People will only retain 10% of what comes out of your mouth. This video you're watching right here has absolutely nothing to do with real estate, but she's a real estate agent, and as a real estate agent, she's a tour guide for her community. The positioning is very simple. She's an advocate for her community, and we don't sell houses. We sell communities, lifestyles, and and all the information that goes along with it, including school districts, local points of interest like this. So it doesn't matter what she's creating content on. It matters that she's reminding me that she's in real estate, because she looks like a local expert right here. So it's not so much on trying to always have to force that, but on how to create a consistent presence on that. Now, where a lot of people, I think, get really confused with is it's like, okay, well, how does this lead to business, right? And we're going to get into that later on. Real estate content, let's switch gears. Buyer or seller real estate content. For you guys at Chime, like, it's like, have you ever hired or have you ever booked a vacation on Travelocity that didn't have any reviews?
No, why would you do that?
Has a realtor ever been hired that has no website or content from a cold lead? Probably not. The same reason and the same mentality that consumers pick to choose a vacation is because what other people said about it, not necessarily what the own thing said about it, but it's about content. They're reading reviews. Well, I don't believe anyone hires the realtor off their website either without content.
Without content, yeah. Important caveat.
The content, people aren't listening to what you're saying. They're listening to how you're saying it. Just because you have a real estate license, that gives you the legal right to print money with it. But it doesn't tell you, people don't hire you because of the piece of paper in your pocket. They hire you because of what the hell you can do with it. And people also don't remember that you have a piece of paper in your pocket. They remember for how you use it. All right. And that's branding. That's perception, right? The agent that has a whole buyer series, I'll give you an example. We have an agent that is a military guy, and we created a buyer boot camp for him. He does everything military based, so he speaks right to his community. But his buyer boot camp is how he delivers his content because he's a military guy. So he does it in the form of a boot camp. If you don't want to listen to him, drop him and give him 20.
Sure. Yeah,
Right,
he uses footage that is going to resonate with his ideal client. I mean, is that going to resonate with every single person? No, but if that's who you're trying to resonate with, you'll fail.
Yep. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, is that there's different types of content used for different purposes. Real estate content in your guys' world, how much more effective is it when you have a drip that educates versus a drip that just tries to squeeze more information out?
Oh, certainly. Right? Absolutely.
So that's what content is used for. Real estate content is used more for conversion and authority. Whereas the first piece of content I showed you is more for attention and branding. Right?
Makes sense.
Community informational. Here's a mortgage broker doing the same thing, except he's creating YouTube content. He's trying to create content to get found to create buyer leads. But he has a strategy for it, right? It doesn't matter. The top 3 things to do in Denver, Colorado. Well, that's what relos type in. So the point I'm making is that it's not so much in terms of what kind of content you create, but how you create it, because the answer for it will be different for each individual. So if you look at this video right here, here's the thing I hate, Randy. Like, I hate when people do just listed, just sold posts. I believe you're really telling everyone about how much money you made, and it's a brag reel.
Sure.
The video you're watching, this is a real estate investor who just stole this house from this lady. We created a show for her called Residential Rescue, which is nothing more than just case studies, which is the once biggest piece of social proof everyone should have on their site. No one cares about how many houses you sold this month, but I do care on how many families you saved. Residential Rescue is nothing more than a small little case study type series for a property management company that's an investor based on properties that they steal from people that people thank them for. The content here is what humanizes the brand. If I were to look from the outside on this particular video right here and I said, hey, oh, this is this investor who takes advantage of disadvantaged people. But now the video is, no, here's this investor that saves disadvantaged people. That's positioning. And that's content creation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, this puts a name, this puts a face, this personality behind the investor. Like you said, there's a lot of negative content that could type of real estate transaction, and ultimately having a video like this is going to be helpful to someone. Not negative about you, but they're going to walk away from this saying, oh, this person really helped on their time of need.
Yep. At least with video and content creation, it's all about humanizing the brand. At least for me, it is. Because I believe that when people click on your site or they come to check you out, it's always about how you're saying it versus what you're saying. And people use this for decision-making, right?
Sure.
All right, so let me come back over here and let's come on to the next point here. Give me a second while we get out of this thing.
Mike, have you followed Wendy's Twitter account? Are you a Twitter guy at all?
I'm not. I used to, but I just lost track of it.
Yeah, it's not in the video realm, but you should take some time to check those out. Wendy's done a phenomenal job of ranking a person the Twitter account. I mean, truly, personality into their tweets. So now people who are familiar with it have a certain, they connect with Wendy's as more than just a giant fast food chain, right? So it's truly amazing, even with 280 characters, when you don't voice, you define your personality, it's going to you more business and more attention than if you're constantly trying to remain neutral.
Yep. I would totally 100% agree with it. So with content, first is defining what kind of content to create. The second, which is the most appropriate for your brand. And then third, once you start creating it, how do you multi-purpose it? So let's talk about the three different spots with how we're multi-purposing it and why we're creating the content. And I'm going to do them in the order that I like creating the content in the order of distribution. The very first reason why I create content is to nurture my database, first and foremost, and to do it consistently, because as long as you do, you become the most memorable and more referable. The agent that is creating 2 videos a month or 2 pieces of content a month and then properly distributing those on social media, video, email, and consistently being everywhere all the time is more memorable than the one who doesn't. So in other words, as you create content consistently, you become more referable. The reason why this is so important is because of where business is generated. This is the stats from NAR, all sellers right here. 63% of sellers were referred to the agent or previously used them in the past. And when we look at the statistics of all of these different, where business generates from, the vast majority of it still comes from people you know. 72% of people will close with the first agent they meet with. Well, you greatly increase your chances of the first agent they meet with when you're top of mind. Simple as that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, let's point out that's they're wrong. I'm not going to say what is that. 3% of all people are referred to or have previously used decision, but in all of our times, number used to be 100%.
Yeah.
So if you that time, that's how you got your business, you are now getting 60% of business. 100%. And you're doing what Mike's telling us today. So that's just, it's not turning around anytime soon. That number from 163 is going to continue to drop. I can't head and act like it's been.
Yep. I'm getting it cutting in and out a little bit, Randy. So if I don't hear you clearly, it's just cutting in and out a little bit. You guys can hear me okay, correct?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
So let's talk about that. It's a good point. 100%. A lot of this stuff, and you're seeing the amount of referrals dwindle over the years as online comes in and as consumers want information faster, quicker, boom, 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 which is why you have to be so fast with lead generation and response and all of that. But as you create more and more leads, the average lead is, somewhere down the road. Like Facebook leads are way out and down the road than portal leads, for example, right? But a lot of these, as you're creating this content, regardless of what the videos are, this type of content we're talking about is what humanizes the brand for conversion. So as you start collecting more and more opt-ins, and then you start farming those opt-ins with human-like content, whether it's a community series or a neighborhood series or real estate content, it humanizes the brand, and we see an increase in conversion down the road. But the second thing we like to do with it is video email. So the content we like to create, we like to farm our database with, essentially. We like to video email it with them. We see over a 40% open rate on this. And then on social, what we like to do is we like to put it on all our different profiles, all of our different platforms. That's our warm database. And then with ads, we like running our content ads to a custom audience inside of Facebook. It's one of the few we can still get away with targeting without headaches right now. But my point being is that when I'm creating content, I'm marketing and I'm showering my database with it first and foremost, primarily. It's after that gets done that I want to get into the multi-purposing part of it. And this is where the website and YouTube and all of these other things come in. Does that make sense, Randy? Lay on Randy's feed right here. There we go. I got you back.
Hey, sorry about that.
No worries. No worries. I got you good. So we're just getting into multi-purposing. I'll repeat that piece real quick. We're just multi-purposing the content. After you take the videos you create or the content you create, splash it to your database. We're going to talk about how we multi-purpose back on your website, back on your YouTube channel. So we'll start with YouTube first, and we'll do website next.
Perfect.
So with YouTube, first thing to know, it's a search engine. When I started creating a lot of content, I did it the wrong way. I started creating content I thought was cool versus what people search for. So this is extremely, extremely important. So what I mean by that is you have to create content that people search for. When you want to start with your strategy, you want to do the keyword research around it if you're going to put it up on YouTube first and foremost. Moving to, living in, what type of content are you creating? And you want to keyword it so it has the most or highest ability to get found. When you're on YouTube, just as a tip of advice, the two series or the two types of content that we see create leads on YouTube are moving to, living in, city names.
Yeah, this is super important. Everyone needs to be paying attention right now.
So here's an interesting thing with COVID. What happened? Prior to COVID, moving to Las Vegas, for example, would generate about 30,000 searches a month on YouTube. Post-COVID, 150,000. It's insane. Wow. And I don't know why it's happening, but my guess is because everyone's glued to their social media accounts right now because no one has a social life. So they're looking on it. But at the same time, look at interest rates. It makes a lot of sense. Like people with the 2.5%, 3% rate, people are trading up. They're moving. They're taking care of it now because they're locking in their trade for the long term. They're selling. They're people are sick of their houses. The big cities, they're moving to the burbs to get some more outdoor space. Like you're seeing this across the country. Look at Manhattan right now. Look at Chicago. I just came back from there. The downtown market's a mess. And you're seeing a trend come in, but you want to optimize your content as much as possible because whoever owns these searches now will own it more long-term. Yes. So I will give you guys a brief rundown of how you optimize on YouTube, and I could do a whole nother video on this, but this is YouTube SEO, call it that way. When you want to create an SEO, it's not just create a video and upload it to YouTube. You have to keyword it the right way. So you want to have the keyword in your title, throughout your description, and in your tags. The key for YouTube is watch time. You want more people to watch your videos, you have to create good content that they actually stick on watching. If a bunch of people only view 5 seconds of your video, YouTube's not going to show it. But if you get people to view over 50%, 60% of it, it's more likely to show up. So it's very similar, and that's why you have to be strategic with what it is that you're going ahead and creating, but there is a strategy to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense, and that's where I start to lose any ability to contribute. The whole keyword and optimization is just.
Think of it as YouTube. If you were creating a channel or you're writing a book, but there's no words, and your book is made of videos and it's hosted on YouTube. So your YouTube channel is, if you look at the thing in front of me, you see these things called playlists right here, which are just like categories for your YouTube channel. So if I wanted to create a series, let's just say living in San Diego, I have a better chance of ranking if I were to create a bunch of videos on living in San Diego. So pros and cons of living in San Diego, the cost of living in San Diego, living in downtown San Diego versus North County, 3 new construction projects in San Diego, the top 3 neighborhoods in North County, the good, the bad, the ugly of living in San Diego, the top 3 things to do there is in San Diego, the cost of living in San Diego versus Los Angeles. See,
interesting.
In all of this content right here, the same way that we would put it on YouTube, I'm also going to put the same playlist on my website, essentially.
Okay.
Right. So when we're talking about multi-purposing, we're just duplicating our efforts. If you look at any of the social media sites right now, look at Instagram now has playlist. Your Facebook business page now has playlist. Your website, all a blog is a category of playlists.
Okay. I'm with you.
As you start creating all of this different content, you want to multi-purpose it. YouTube's just one place to drop off your content. And if you want opportunity for it to rank, then you put it up here. Give you another example is we used to do a lot of listing videos, and I would always rank those videos, homes for sale in insert neighborhood name. When I go on a listing presentation, I say, hey, I own this search term. Watch, here's my channel. So as you multi-purpose the content the right way, your videos start to rank. You use that for conversion. You use that for listing presentations, and you use it to get found.
And so is part of multi-purposing using the same video in 2 different playlists?
You can do that, but I would rather create more content.
Okay.
So there's a thing about, it's almost like if you're going to start creating content, at least in video, we're going to shower our database with it, and then we're going to multi-purpose it here in that order. and in that and relative to that.
Okay.
So
I'm with you.
I don't know if I'm going to get business on YouTube, but I could increase the chances that I do.
Mhm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, certainly.
So with YouTube, you just want to, it's a drop off point. If you're creating videos, you have to put them on YouTube. If you don't, you're missing the point.
Oh, for sure.
So let's get into the site because this is super important. Let's talk about content for your website. What kind of content should be on your site and why do we use it there? Mm-hmm. So let me give you an example of a lender and we'll talk about buyers and sellers and all the different type of content you have. So this is a mortgage broker and he created a ton of home buyer education, if you will. He built out like a 20 video course. He called it the Ultimate Home Buyer Experience. 82% of the people that opt into his funnel hire him as a lender.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Why?
Wow.
Because of how he's doing it. So if you look at everything from his branding to everything, you'll realize that he's got this little bow tie. He's fun. He's a personality. He's got this little cute cartoon. And that really comes out in much of his videos with how he's delivering the content. But all he's doing is walking people through a course he essentially built on his website. Now, because he's created all this content on his website, that content is now gives him the ability to remarket it and reuse it for lead generation.
Certainly.
So he's targeting people on pay-per-click, first-time buyer, home buying process. So he'll target people for lead generation. But more importantly, how he uses this is that his course he gives to his realtor referral partners. And they use it to educate their clients. And he's part of their power team. So he built out a buyer presentation, an enhanced version of that for real estate agents. And now real estate agents use this buyer presentation and everything's working out. At the end of the day, it all starts with creating content. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna give you another example. This is a mortgage broker, so I'll just play the real estate agent example. Mm-hmm. So we have a real estate agent here in San Diego. He's a veteran-friendly real estate agent. We built him out a media series called San Diego Salute. He'll create content on business owners that are veteran owned or support veteran causes. He'll do neighborhood tours and talk about the vicinity of base near Marines. But he just finished his buyer boot camp, which is a 6-step video series on his home buyer presentation or his listing presentation on the seller side. How he delivers his message is because he's a vet is through a boot camp. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So he's in character.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's a really interesting study that was done about content and real estate content. And during COVID, I read one of the guys I follow. His name is Sheridan, and he's a content marketing guy. He got his claim to fame in like 2006 or 7. They're pool guys. They sell fiberglass pools, and they're now the largest fiberglass pool company in the world. And how they did it was through creating content, mainly blogging, now a lot of video and whatnot. But what he did is he created a study, and he calls this sort of assignment selling. And this is the study. So these guys would create a ton of content on fiberglass pools, the pros and cons of fiberglass pools, the negatives, like everything, the costs, like content all around whatever their audience types in, whatever people looking for a pool. And here's what they would do is when someone would schedule a pool demo to get more questions asked, they would send them a piece of content, the pros and cons of a fiberglass pool. Now, the study shows that out of 100 people where they sent the content to before the demo, they had an over 90% close ratio.
Wow. On
the flip side of it, when they didn't send people the content for the demo, they had a higher no-show for the demo, and they only had about a 10% close ratio.
Absolutely.
Why were the numbers flipped? Because the content created the engagement to create the sale.
No, I'll give you a real life example that happened last month. We, as a SaaS company, book demos, right? People contact us. We reach out to them to schedule a demo of our product. Our demo show rate increased 50% last month when we were sending them content between the time they inquired and the time they actually had the demo scheduled, right? So that in between time, we started peppering them with more content, 50% increase in show rate.
100%. And yeah, so we started doing this in when I was still practicing in Chicago. My brand was Chicago Real Estate, and I never knew it was called assignment selling. But for example, when I would get a for sale by owner, why the hell am I going to talk them into listing? They're for sale by owner for a reason. Instead, I created a piece of content on my site that was called How to Sell Your House Without Hiring an Agent. And it walked them through my entire process, and it overwhelmed them.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right.
Genius.
So like we look at content, and content, all it does is really just demonstrate our value, right? It allows us to sell without selling. That's what attraction is. That's what content does for your brand. So let me show you the other side, is because perception really is, I believe it's everything. I'm just gonna let this video play in the background. So if this is like a virtual presentation. It's really like a listing presentation, but break it down into like 6 videos, which is really just a 6 video series, right? So when people see the content that you have, and then you have a video on it and a blog post, in their eyes, you just become a lot more legit than the agent that does it.
Absolutely.
Right. And it makes sense for the demos. Like they're like, you guys are probably sending them. I did the same thing with mine. If someone schedules a demo with us, I send them right to the content, and I'll drip on them with the content. The people who watch the content ahead of time are way more likely to convert than the ones who don't. They sort of self-qualify themselves. Yeah. And that's exactly what the study shows. And in hindsight, I was like, oh shit, this is like really good stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So think about that. Like, how many questions do we all have? How many questions do people in our business have about our business, and what are those questions? Mm-hmm. That's what we create content on. In my world, it's the pros and cons of hiring a real estate marketing dude versus a real estate videographer.
Yes. I see what you're saying.
Right? If it's a real estate agent, why aren't any real estate agents talking about their cost of hiring me? Blunt and center, right on their website. It's the number one thing that people are asking for. How much does it cost to work with you? So why are we hiding it from them? Nobody clicks on the website anymore that doesn't have pricing on it. You notice that?
I trust me, I get that.
Like, and then the about page is like one of the top pages visited on your site. Why is that? Well, it's because people want to know who the hell they're working with. They know you sell real estate, but they want to know how you do it, not what you do.
Certainly. Is there any shroud of mystery over what a real estate agent does for you? They help you buy or sell a home, right? So why are you making your about page? Why aren't you making your about page more about who you are so they feel connected to you?
Totally. If you guys ever realized, go look at the last 10 of your clients, and there's a reason why they become your beer drinking buddies. It's because we all attract like people, right? So if you truly believe in your heart that you are the right real estate agent for their job, it is your obligation to scream it from the rooftops. Mm-hmm. You're not annoying people. It is your obligation to scream it from the rooftops. Because the truth is that if you don't, they're going to get hired by somebody. Someone else is going to hire a crappy agent, and then you're going to complain on why that agent did a bad job.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
And they're going to hire an agent who's going to screw up one of the largest financial decisions of their life.
Yep. So you got to make it easy for people to know our value. You only do that through content creation demonstration.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, here's a quick tip to figure out what type of content you need to create for yourself. Ask your 5 closest friends what they would like to know about real estate. People who aren't in the real estate space, they're going to tell you exactly what you need to start with. Yep.
We just did a video the other day on the top 5 home improvements that create no return on investment. Because everyone's doing the opposite. And that's like, hey, your air conditioner is supposed to work. If you replace that thing, you're not going to sell your house for more money. People expect that thing to work. Same with your appliances. Yes. You know what I mean? Like you see but that's a good piece of content, right?
It is. Yeah, that's informative. That's one I genuinely would like to watch.
So think about, and what other, I'm just about wrapped with this piece. I think we could do some Q&A, and I'm curious to know what you guys see on your end with content creation, and what's your biggest challenge that you guys see from real estate agents? What's stopping them? What's that number one thing? Because I don't believe anyone going forward can market any brand without content creation. I think everyone has to create content, and it's not a real estate thing. It's everything. It's an online marketing thing, right? So what are you seeing people struggle with, and why are they struggling in your opinion?
So I think the first thing I would say is people are uncomfortable in front of a camera. they have this misnomer that they need a professional camera crew to create a video.
Fair enough. Can I answer that question?
Please, I would hope you would.
I get that all the time. If you have a face made for radio, congratulations, you're human. Nobody cares about you as much as you do. And here's a good way to overcome that. You control who sees your content or videos, right? Mm-hmm. So if you really don't like the way you look, just don't press post. Therefore, during the filming of the video, why the hell are you nervous?
Sure. If it's crappy, no one ever has to see it.
The other thing is like my first time I went on a listing presentation, I was so nervous. Well, I was nervous too when I did my first video. If you are not constantly pushing yourself and putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, you're not growing, folks. I like being the most uncomfortable person in any room I'm in, because that's when I know I'm learning, growing, and stretching myself to the limits. So those of you that are content, it's not like you have to get on video. Like there's not a choice anymore. Unfortunately, it's not real estate agents. It's everybody, you guys. Yeah. Social media, online marketing, like all this stuff. Like if your business is not on video, I believe that you're setting yourself up for disaster, because somebody is taking your spot with that and they're going to steal that attention. Mm. It's just one of those things that we have to embrace versus run away from, because it's here, but it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It just has to be something you get used to. And like I said, we're always doing new things, but it's a differentiator.
Words of wisdom for someone who may be avoiding video because they don't like being the center of attention?
Sure. Well, if you do not like being the center of attention, it is very hard to market your brand. There's a reason why a lot of the real estate agents are high D personalities. High DIs is what you see the most of. A lot of them are drivers, right? So you don't really have an option on that either. If you were to open up a bakery or a pizza restaurant, wouldn't that be a brand? And wouldn't you be screaming about that place from the rooftops with signage, ads, and all of that? So you are the brand in your business, not your broker. You have to market your brand the exact same way you would your pizza restaurant. The problem is that most people have a trouble seeing themselves as a business or a brand because they're an individual. But people don't hire your broker. They hire you 96% of the time. Only in 4% of cases did people choose the brokerage over the agent. And I can guarantee you those are on the coast and the 20, 30, 40, 50, $70 million properties.
Sure. Yeah. I was going to say that percentage sounds high, but that makes sense why they would. That seems reasonable. Okay. I mean, that's important to know. I mean, look, your company name may be Randy Carroll Realty, but I'm a business, not just an individual. So I've got to market Randy Carroll Realty, whether I want to be the center of attention or not.
Correct.
Is that what I'm getting at? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, I don't see how you can't, like, you have to be willing to put yourself out there. I mean, real estate agents, like signs, everyone, there's an old saying says signs in the yards are better than none at all, but that's just branding. It's because it's recognition. That's what real estate is. I believe it's a giant popularity contest. And look in your markets, you guys, the one agent that, we all have an arch nemesis in our market. And there's like, whether you're walking out of a listing presentation, the guy or girl walks out and you're like, this freaking guy, right? I got to go up against him again. Well, they're not smarter than you. They're just more popular than you right now.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. You're exactly right. So tell me, we talk about signs. A lot of your content creation, I would gather the vast majority is online content. How viable is offline content right now, aka signs, billboards, flyers, those things? What's your take there?
I think it's a lot of it sort of just goes hand in hand. Like if you look at the charts I had, like there's sign calls are still the best lead because it's high intent. They're like out in front of the sign, right? That's why open houses have such higher conversions, because somebody who's actually taking the next step to physically go out and visit the property is a lot more qualified than the kid or guy who's sitting on their couch viewing it on YouTube or Facebook.
Sure.
So on a lot of that happens the deal. I think the branding, the signage, like that's physical. Physical marketing that's why I like direct mail. I still use direct mail all the time. I highly recommend farming your database with direct mail because it's physical and they have to physically engage with it before they throw it in the trash. That's valuable, right?
Okay.
That's why Bed Bath & Beyond does the 20% off coupon that you guys all have sitting in your kitchen drawer collecting dust. You don't bring that thing to the store. You scan your email for the same damn offer.
Oh, I've heard that so many times. Bed Bath & Beyond, they built a great brand of physical mail.
All they're doing is this. Bed Bath & Beyond's marketing plan is this. Direct mail, email, social media. Be everywhere all the time because people give in to the one that they see the most. It's exactly why I don't know of any other bath place I could think of in my head. If I'm going to buy a towel, I guarantee you I'm going to Bed Bath & Beyond.
Yep, exactly. If I wanted some scented fragrance, for the bath, I'm going to Bed Bath & Beyond. Yeah. So listen closely, everyone. He's saying that offline physical marketing needs to be complemented with your video online marketing. You don't replace one with the other. This is the next evolution of marketing, and you have to build a foundation that's a building block, not necessarily replacing.
Yep. Yeah, there isn't. It's just, we have to be doing all of it. I mean, we had a call. I had a call with, this is interesting. Company. I had a call with a guy who developed an Alexa app that is now placed inside of listings, right? Okay. And basically the app, you ask Alexa, hey, and you put a sign. So you put the app in the listing, maybe it's in the kitchen and there's a sign next to it that says, ask Alexa anything you want on this property. So people can ask, where are the nearest Starbucks? Where's the nearest schools? Like, it pulls in all the information. Now that Alexa app is not going to sell the house. It's going to close the listing. And then the buyers who come out and see it and be like, damn, who is this tech-like agent? Because people aren't going to hire you. That's physical marketing, right? Next to that Alexa piece, I'd have a picture of my face. If it's a dude brand, I'd probably have a bowl of munchies right next to it. I would have chocolates and candies and all that stuff, because that's what a dude would do. Yeah. Right. So that's marketing. So yeah, you still has to accompany it because it has to go with the whole overall brand message. The video is just an impactful way to communicate, you guys. That's it. People will only retain 10% of what comes out of your mouth. 90% of it will be based on tonality and body language with how you're saying it.
So I can imagine a lot of people right now, especially after that part where you're doing physical mailing as well as video and content creation, are feeling a little bit overwhelmed. And that's what inspired your business, right? The Real Estate Marketing Dude. Can you tell us more about what you actually do for clients?
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much create video content for them. We first figure out what the strategy is that they're excited about, and we build them a show. We basically build them a reality show, and then provide all of the scripts for them, handle all of the editing, and then we do about 90% of the distribution. So we're like done for you, video content creation and blog writing, multi-purposing and all of that for agents. And everybody's a little bit different in which is right for them. That's the beauty of video, is that there's not a universal strategy.
Right.
People ask us all the time, like, hey dude, if there's like 4 other people doing videos in my market? I'm like, great. God only made one of you. It's a beautiful thing. There's only one of you out there, and that is your USP. The only unique selling proposition any of us have is our personal brands. Other than that, we're a commodity.
Sure. Yeah, it's certainly going that way. If the iBuyers had their way, it certainly would be.
Well, Open Door just came out with their own brokerage just yesterday, I saw.
Well, right? I would say that would indicate the fact that real estate agents aren't going to become a commodity, but you are still going to have to provide value.
100%. It's all gonna 100%. The only difference, you're right. It's like the only difference is between 2 real estate agents is results and attention. In other words, right? When you have all of that documented, you just make yourself easier to convert. Like, you think about it, like a lot of people how long does this take? How long does this work? The only time creating content around your brand doesn't work is when people generally don't like you. And there's nothing I can help you with there. Anyone can. You're in the wrong damn business. And that's absolutely true for a lot of people. 4 out of 5 people fail in this business. Why is that?
Unlikable.
A lot of times, or they're being told to do the wrong things, or they're chasing, they burn out. Like, there's a lot of reasons for it. But ultimately, It's a belly to belly business, regardless of what it is. That's why the top agents in your market aren't the sharpest tools in the shed. They're just way more popular than you. They just have more friends than you do at this given time.
Yeah, let me say that another way. Maybe 4 out of 5 people fail for multiple reasons. That one person is successful because people like them.
I would agree with that.
Um,
For whatever it is. Yep.
Yeah, whatever that reason may be, it's true and people like them.
Totally.
I had a question, but I just forgot.
Think of video as a giant popularity contest. Like when we were in high school, do you remember like being in high school? Let's go back to our high school days and let's go back to like the humanization part of this. When I was in high school, I was like one of the most popular kids. The only reason I was is because I used to have parties and keggers all the time when my parents left town. Swear to gosh. And because I would have those parties, it put me as the center of attention so that when I walked into the classroom on Mondays, I was like, what's up, Mike? What's up, Mike? And I was like this big, cool guy because I was having the parties. Why? Because I hosted the party, okay? I became the center of attention. That's what this is. When you become the center of attention in anything, you just attract. 10 to 15% of the people who see your content this year are moving. That's a mathematical fact. None of this is theory. This is mathematical. And 100% of the people who see your content have a referral for you because everybody knows someone who's moving over the next 12 months. So you don't need a huge 300,000 people who know what the hell you are or what you do. You only need 200 of them.
Sure.
The average agent does 6 sides a year. I could trip over 6 sides in a month on Facebook if you just activate them. There's so many. How many times you hear the term like, I'm a closet agent?
Yep, secret agent. Yeah.
I'm a secret agent. You hear it all the time. And how many of you guys have had like you log onto Facebook and you're like, oh, my friend, my cousin just used another realtor without me, and then you get mad at them? No. Get mad at yourself. It's not their job to remember what the hell you do. It's your job to remind them, period.
That's one of my biggest triggers when I see them in Facebook posts. In Facebook groups, people get upset because someone else used another realtor. You think it's their fault?
Yep.
Whoa, you got bigger problems, pal.
Yeah, it happens. Like it's part of the business. But here's another example. Every single year, all of us realtors will lose 1 or 2 deals to little cousin Billy, the realtor who just got his license, or Aunt Susie, the part-time blue-haired agent that just got her license, right? Yeah. Why is that? Well, they have a stronger relationship with them than they do with you because blood is thicker than water, period. What does that tell you? Relationship based. So you're going to tell me that Aunt Susie is going to go hire little cousin Billy, the realtor who just got his license, to sell their $3 million house. He has no idea what he's doing. Biggest move of their life. They're going to leave $500,000 on the table. Yep. They don't even think about it because little Billy has his license and he must be qualified because everybody else is.
Yep, because it's all the same, right?
100%. Yep.
That piece of paper is all the same.
Yep.
But what you do, your business, is clearly different. And no one's going to know that until you build a brand, and content is part of that building block. Can't build a brand without content, period. You need some kind of way to keep the conversation going, both on and offline. And if you don't have that, I mean, it's why I have a podcast. If I didn't have a podcast, I don't have a business, period. In my world, it's the best thing I ever did, but it took, and the thing is, you guys, this doesn't happen overnight. But you didn't get into real estate to get rich quick. Right. I know your teacher might have told you that in real estate school, but that's not how this business works. The first 2 years are the hardest. Yeah, talk about that if you would. The timeline of your content returning on that investment. Biggest question I get: what's the ROI? So here's the short answer is there isn't a direct way to give that to you, but here's how you can calculate your own ROI and come up with a good guesstimate on what it will be. So I'm just going to go out. Let's just say, let's take out the cost of content creation first. So let's just say I'll take our services just because I have the pricing off the top of my head. So our services run $650 for 2 videos a month, and we basically distribute the whole thing. If you were to do that 12 months, your cost for video is like $7,200 or something like that. So first figure out what your annual video content creation cost is going to be, right? And then you're going to reverse engineer it. Creating the videos is half of the battle, but getting them distributed is the other half. If you're creating videos and putting them in front of the wrong people, there's no point.
which is why we always use SOI, Sphere, first, because it's the gift that keeps on giving no matter what. We multi-purpose for lead gen. We create first for brand, multi-purpose for lead gen second.
Okay.
So if I were to do 2 videos a month, let's just say, and my average sales price in my market is $400,000. Okay. So if I were to do 2 videos a month and I am to properly, each of those videos gets emailed to my email list. So I have 200 people on my email list, my database. Each of those videos gets put on all my social media platforms, my Facebook, my Instagram, my business page. And if I want to be aggressive, maybe I'll run ads to my database. And if we keep that up for a year straight, that's 2 videos a month. In a year's time, we have 24 pieces of content around your brand.
Okay.
If your average sale price is $400,000 and you sell 1 house out of that, you're already up 25% on your ROI. The reason why I say the only time it doesn't work is when people don't like you, is because it's absolutely true. If you only do 1 deal over the course of the year, 9 times out of 10, it's still going to provide a positive ROI, but you'll never be able to track which video made them call you, because it's a combination of all of them.
Right.
It's the consistency of staying in touch and in relationship with people that you already know, like, and trust you, and not disappearing after the transaction closes. That generates more referrals and repeat business down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, have you ever gone to a YouTube channel and seen and you show up to this channel and it's got 3 videos? I'm probably not going to watch any of them because I just assume this channel doesn't really have any value. But I go somewhere that has a couple dozen videos, like, all right, this person is probably a subject matter expert, and I'm going to look through their library to figure out what I want to learn today.
100%. That's why perception, presentation is everything.
Yep.
Like, you have to start somewhere. But that's why we love multi-purposing so much. Because even if I was a brand new agent, this is the power of video. So I sell video services, right? But I'm going to make Randy here think I'm a chef in 7 days. Here's how. I'm going to go out and record myself filming 7 videos of me chopping up vegetables and cooking stuff. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I just watched a cookbook video on YouTube, and I'm going to go ahead and copy the whole same damn thing. But if I showed this to you 7 days in a row, you would think I'm a chef. Now, here's the point. If I don't like cooking, so there's no way I can fake the cooking. Even if I'm cooking, I could still be cooking, but I look miserable doing it. You're not going to buy my cookbook. You're going to go buy Gordon Ramsay's.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it absolutely does. Can we talk? I know we're nearing the end of our time, but I would really like to just hear a little bit about the distribution part, because you made a great point of you can have all these videos, but if you don't get them in front of anybody, you're SOL. So what does distribution look like?
Yep. The way we like to do it is, it's the biggest question I get, is that you don't know when your ROI for video is going to take off. We just know it always does.
Okay.
Right? Anything you do consistently over time. I always refer to the tortoise and the hare story, right? It's a perfect example of it. But in short, when we create content, I like to nurture our sphere of influence first with it, multi-purpose it secondly, in that order. 10 to 15% of your email list, and 100% of your email list will be moving this year. 100% of them have a referral for you. 10 to 15% of each of your social platforms will be moving with you this year. 100% have referral for you. And that's really the mindset you have to take, because you're looking at distribution and distributing your content everywhere your brand's represented. So first and foremost, you want to use it to nurture your SOI. Second spot, YouTube. Right? So YouTube, optimize it. Build out your playlist one at a time. Build out your channel one at a time, but keep it categorical. If you're going to start a seller series, finish all 6 or 7 or 8 videos until you start your buyer series. But I'm going to build out that series in time. If I'm doing 2 a month, I have 6 videos in the series. It takes me 3 months to finish that series. Right? So YouTube, secondly, for lead generation. And the third spot is going to be your website, to multi-purpose the content and build your content out on your site. If you start having a lot of content on your site, throw some traffic at it.
Okay.
Right? But I'm not going to throw a bunch of traffic on my site until I have the content to help convert it.
Sure. That makes a ton of sense.
So that's the order that I like doing it in. That's just our process. I don't know if that's just the way that we've always done it. It seems to be the fastest way to do it, just in order.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's worked for you so far. Why break it?
The cool thing about when you create this content is you can use it over and over again. So like these case study videos you have, you're going to use it some way down the road. So let's just say you did a case study or a client testimonial type video on, I don't know. Here's a really good example. Here's a good example on a probate. So I had an agent when I was still in Chicago. Her name was Paige. She was 26 years old. Part of the process for our team was you have to do one video a month. And if you don't, you're off the team. I was just like puppet master dude in the background. So all my agents were doing the videos. They pay for the videos. My job was to multi-purpose them and create the content. So here's a long story short. Paige was her name. Was going through, this is how you come up with content creation on the go. Her grandmother passed away and Paige was in charge. She was the next in kin and she was in charge of liquidating the estate. We documented the entire thing and Paige created a video and a document, and the blog post, I still remember, was titled, "What to Do When Grandma Dies and Leaves You with the House." That video got picked up by WGN News 18 months after we did it, or 2 years after it. I didn't even know this happened. After I moved to San Diego, Paige called me and she's like, "Mike, I've been meaning to call you. Like that one video we did took off. Like I've been meaning to call you." Paige now does over 15 million a year. I don't even know if she's 30 yet, and she has her own brokerage. Well, that one piece of content, she got picked up by WGN News and interviewed. And then right after that, that was that one thing that just took her off. That one piece of content generated probably 50, 60, 70, $80,000 in commissions for her. And it's still working for her. And that's how content creation works. When you're doing things consistently, some will be great. Some will be the gift that keeps on giving, and others won't get any traction. And you'll be like, "Oh, that video sucks. I'm all discouraged." No, dude, you keep going and you keep going and you keep going. Just like the tortoise and the hare, the consistency always wins in the long run.
Yes. You know which video that blows up.
Yeah.
It's impossible to predict.
You don't know what's going to work. What's consistency over content is more important.
That's a great quote right there. Don't create one video and think you're done.
Yep.
That's awesome. We're at today. This was very informative. If people don't feel like they have an understanding of what they need to go to create video content today, then contact Mike, obviously, because you're just not going to get it.
We appreciate that, dude.
Real estate marketing dude. He's a professional content creator, video content in specific. Really for your time here today, Mike. What's the easiest way for people to contact you?
Sure. Feel free to visit our site, realestatemarketingdude.com. At the very least, take all the content on there. I mean, I have content on everything. You'll go through the blog. You guys will be busy for a year. There's over 90 posts on there. We have a course, like take all the content on there and learn it. If you're into content creation, we make sure that we give away all of our training. We give away everything. But that's what content is. We share everything. And then by doing so, we end up attracting sort of the same thing we do for people.
I love it. I love it. Well, thanks again. I appreciate your time. Reach out to him, realestatemarketingdude.com. Take all of his content or use him. And
thank you, man. I appreciate having you guys. And thank you guys for listening. And if there's anything we can ever do, don't hesitate to reach out and ask.
Sure. Mike, take care.
Thanks, dude.